Because it was snowstorm, so.
Yeah, that's what's spooky. You get winds like this, cooling off. All we had last year. Well, we have a minute there.
Is it? Got to 30 here.
We're ready to go.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Chairman.
Are we ready? Call to order the Platteville Planning Zoning Commission meeting of September 19, 2017. To begin with, let's start with a moment of silence, reflect upon those who keep us safe in this country. Thank you. Now, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mary, could we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Rich Smith,
Here.
Steve Schaefer,
Here.
Steve Sandoval,
Here.
Sandy Smith,
Here.
Michael Cowper, Steve Nelson,
Here.
Troy Blum.
Here.
Do I hear any comments on the agenda for this evening?
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Tonight we'll have audience participation, public comment on items that are not on the agenda tonight. We will not say that we will act on them, but we will take them under advisement. Do we have anyone that would like to step to the podium for public comment?
I guess we just need to know what's going on with your proposal of letting these people put bunkers with explosives in.
Ma'am, could we have to step up to the podium? and-
No, I really.
Okay.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
So just wait 1 second, because we need to wait to open the public hearing for that.
On this,
It
Oh,
relates to
that's
the
right,
KLX
because this is on the
application.
agenda.
Yeah, so if
Okay,
you could just wait
so-
1 sec, sorry.
Yes.
I can sit back now.
The next portion of this is the approval of the consent agenda. We only have one item on the consent agenda, and that was the joint meeting July 18th. Do I have any comment? Has everybody read the minutes of the meeting?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion is passed. Now, we do have some action items this evening. We have an open public hearing, and I will open that public hearing now at 6:32. And then KLX is the company that's involved in this, and they're putting forward conditional review use for what they're planning on doing out there. Do you want to get into that PowerPoint presentation now?
Usually the staff presentation comes first. So we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
I get it.
Okay, got it. Then the next is usually the staff presentation.
Oh, okay.
Is it back, am I doing it backwards? No, okay.
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Troy, you want to say anything?
Just that, Melissa Kendrick, town planner, will present the staff report to the commission along with us and I, Senator Carver, legal counsel for the town. Defer to Melissa.
All right, good evening. As you stated, this is an application that's being brought forward by KLX Energy Services, and the property is located at 12529 County Road 38 in Platteville. The purpose of the application is for a bunker to store explosives that are used in the oil field. So the background material gave you some information. This presentation is going to be made by the applicant after I make my presentation. So the property is zoned light industrial. So in the light industrial zoning, we contemplate actually the storage of explosives in the oil field as a conditional review use. So that's why this is being brought forward to you this evening. The project does require being sent out to outside referrals. So town engineering, the Gilchrist Fire Protection District, and Public Works all had an opportunity to review it. And there are no outstanding concerns, as we'll talk about. The Fire Protection District is the local authority for a lot of the state and federal regulations. So they are part of the conditions of approval that I'll get to in a little bit. But what's important tonight is for you to consider the criteria that are in your staff report. And there are 8 criteria, and I'm going to just summarize those. The applicant is also going to go through those in more detail. But important is compliance with the zoning, and I described to you that this is light industrial and it's conditional review use. So the application complies with the zoning requirements, and the application has been deemed complete, and we have reviewed it for your review this evening. Another important component of the criteria has to do with compatibility, and this is a property that's zoned industrial in an area where there's a number of industrial uses. So it's compatible in that regard. There are important step-back requirements that are part of the federal regulations through the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and they'll go into that in more detail. But they have met, as I understand, they've met those requirements as evidenced in your backup materials. It really is a fairly small footprint. It's 48 square feet, and it's located, they placed it adjacent to an existing building that's out there, and they're going to occupy the entire site. So they actually purchased and closed on this property in August, and so they'll be occupying the property. So we haven't identified any adverse environmental impacts that aren't addressed by the conditions of approval. There's no significant traffic impacts. You know, typically it's existing employees of the facility that are the ones who are certified to handle the material. So there's no traffic impact that we're concerned about. There's no utility usage, no water, sewer, electric that goes with this. So I think those are the important items for you to consider. So based upon that, the findings in the staff report, we are recommending this favorably to you this evening based on 4 conditions of approval. And I've touched on that a little bit, but the first one has to do with their need to comply with the state and federal requirements for the storage and handling of these materials. And as they go through their presentation, you'll appreciate the extent of these regulations and that they need to comply with. The second one is a little bit of a duplication, but this is important to us because it requires proof. You know, I'm going to look for compliance with from Travis Homiak, our fire marshal from the fire district, to make sure that all the local, state, and federal regulations have been met. So again, he's sort of the local person that makes sure they are in compliance. So that's an important one. The third one is that the bunker will be located exactly where it's shown on the site plan, and also that they will need to have the permit, conditional reviews permit signed prior to operating that facility. So those are the 4 conditions. The recommendation of approval is based upon the attached resolution that's with your packet and has the exact same conditions in it. So so I can answer any questions at this point, if you have.
I probably will when they get up there. Anybody in the commission that have any questions? So the existing building is going to house office space, et
That's
cetera.
right.
How many employees do they expect?
That's a good question. I think that would be a good question for the applicant, what's up in their facility. And I can introduce Troy Walker and Robert Grinson, who are here tonight and can make a presentation for you when you're ready.
If there are no more questions, we can move forward to their presentation.
Whoever would like to start?
Good evening, everyone. I certainly appreciate everyone taking the time this evening to come and listen to us and talk about what our plans are for the Platteville facility. And I'm certainly no public speaker, and this is my first town hall meeting, so you'll have to forgive me if I get to rambling or anything. Just push me along. I would like to talk a little bit about KLX as a whole, and we'll get into that and where we come from, what we're about, and where we're currently located, what operations we run, and we'll have a lot of good material in the slides. But would like to introduce Robert Grissom. He's our subject matter expert this evening, and he'll be able to certainly answer some more of the technical type of questions. I've personally been in the industry for about 30 years now. I've had 2 jobs in my career. My first job was with Weatherford International. I was with them for about 28 years, and recently came to work for KLX about 4 years ago. So I am what they call the geographical operations manager over all of the Rockies, excluding North Dakota. So my area is Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah. And I'll touch on some of the locations that we have and operations that we have within those locations a little bit later on in the presentation. As mentioned, we are here seeking a continual use application on County Road 38. The facility will be used to support various wireline operations within the DJ Basin only. Many of these operations require us to maintain a suitable supply of explosives, and that's basically for quick reaction time to meet our customers' requirements. If you want to jump into slide, basically just talk to this. If you will, go ahead and go on to slide 3. We were formed in 2014, and it was an acquisition of eight oil field service companies. We're traded publicly traded. Our ticker symbol is KLXI. We're strategically located in all major basins across the United States. If you'll go to slide 4, please. The main talking point on this slide for me is investing in our people through training and continued education. And just as importantly, is the communities that we work in. We want to invest in our communities, but more importantly, we want to be a good neighbor. All of our employees at KLX must pass a background check. We even have to take it a step further when vetting our employees for wireline operations. And that's basically due to the handling of the explosives. For example, our engineers and lead operators have to be Colorado state licensed and certified. Moreover, all KLX wireline employees must have to be federally vetted. We are first looking to hire locally, although rest assured that people whom we will be bringing into our community will be upstanding citizens and good neighbors. We take a lot of pride in our people. We work very, very closely with our HR department to to do very thorough interviews and background checks. So people that we will bring into the communities will be good upstanding citizens and I think would be any good neighbor to have. We currently have operations in Johnstown, Colorado. That facility is not a wireline facility, although we do house about 6 other product lines over there. Currently, we have about 60 employees that are in that facility. We are looking to expand operations just simply because we don't have the roof line right now to cover what we're currently doing there, and looking at a facility over in LaSalle, which is about 10 minutes from this new Platteville wireline facility. So it's important to note that the only personnel that will be working out of this facility is wireline trained personnel. And the security is just that. We have fenced yards. There is, as noted, a lot of federal regulations, a lot of state regulations, and you know, it's nothing new to the industry. Wireline explosives have been around for forever and ever. We do have a lot of wireline operations across other major plays in the U.S., and we do currently have wireline operations in northern Colorado at a facility we have in Sterling. So it's nothing new to our company, although we are moving into a new platform within that product line. It's more of a pump down type of operation for the perforating of the well during the completion phase of the project. And what we currently have in place is more of a remedial and service type of work for existing wells. If any type of perforations or anything like that are needed, or what we refer to as pipe recovery operations, then that's where these guys that are in place come into play. But we're moving into kind of a new product in the basin, and therefore we'll need a little bit bigger facility with some more capacity. If you'll move to slide number 5. So I talked about the other product lines that we have. The surface facility and equipment rentals we don't have in my region. We don't have in the WICO region. Wireline services, have been talking about that tonight, and certainly why we're here. We also offer, and if this is redundant, if you guys don't need to know this, just tell me to blow through it. It was stuff that was in the presentation, so we wanted to kind of give you a bigger picture of what we do. But we offer fishing services, a lot of pressure control services, which is blowout equipment, frac stacks, those types of things. Downhole technology, our DHPS, well construction, and completions product lines. We also offer through tubing services, and we do have proprietary tools in addition to that. Just to note a couple of the facilities I mentioned, we do have operations in Sterling. Our Johnstown Berthoud facility, we have a little storage warehouse over in Fort Lupton, Colorado. We also have operations in Parachute, Colorado, and our regional corporate headquarters is in Denver, Colorado, along with our sales staff and HR personnel and safety people. We also part of the region, as mentioned, we have operations in Riverton, Rock Springs, Powell, Casper, Gillette, and Vernal, Utah. I think it's important for me as an operations guy, and I know this probably will sound a little cliche, but safety is very, very important to me. And working in the industry for as long as I have, I've witnessed and seen some things over the years that cutting corners and things of those natures, I take very personal, and it's very important for our employees to get home safely every single night to their families, and safety is very, very important to us and our team. As we merged these companies together, it was really starting. Everyone had their own sets of rules, and so getting all that together and bringing in and hiring the right people to manage our safety operations, and it's been a challenge. And if you go to the next slide and view our statistics over the last few years, you can see that it does mean a lot to us, and it is important to to identify areas of improvement, and we've done just that. You'll notice in 2015, when basically we got the company put together, it was, you know, we had a very high TRIR rate, which is a total recordable incident rate, and many of the customers that we work for, they look at these rates very, very closely. And if your rates are too high for majors and even smaller operators like Bill Barrett's of the world and people like that, you can't work for them. So not only is it important we get our employees home safely, but it can directly impact your business. And you can see by just, you know, our focus being on safety, what we have achieved. It's worth noting too that our sister company, which is, you know, KLX is a relatively good-sized company, but the energy portion of our business is very, very small compared to the overall breadth of our business. But we do, we're also in the aerospace side of things, and we do have a lot of federal contracts, and so there is a lot of auditing and those types of things that we have to make sure that we keep in place. So really that, for me, is really all about it. And we'll move into some other parts of the slide. If there's any questions or anything that I can answer before I sit down, then feel free.
I have a question. What exactly is wireline?
Okay, I'm sorry, we can't take questions from, can we let them, I hate to do this to you
Sure. No, that's
again,
fine.
but can we just let them finish
That's
and then
fine.
we'll invite the
Okay.
public up? Would that would be an
Okay.
easier way to
That's
do it
fine.
for the record. Okay, thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert Grissom. I'm the local district manager for the Platteville facility that we recently acquired. I oversee all day-to-day operations, from hiring to record keeping, you know, all operations in the field and at the facility. I wanted to touch on some of the key regulations and items of compliance that we have to adhere to. On a state level, all handlers of explosives must be 21 years of age. That's not just handlers, everybody with access to the facility have to meet every one of these requirements. A minimum of 1 year of experience handling, of direct handling of explosives. They must all pass a state background check and pass a test administered by the Division of Oil and Gas. And then with that, all storage magazines which house the explosives are all regularly inspected by the state officers. On a federal level, all local management, myself, and a few other gentlemen, record keepers and other managers will be responsible persons. And what that states is we have direct liability of all receivables and usage of explosives, any missing items, things of that nature, and disposal. We are the direct responsible people, and we have to answer, you know, for all of those. All individual explosive handlers will go through, like Troy mentioned, a background check through the Department of Justice. It's a lengthy process. It's very strict and demanding, and it gets signed off by the chairman of the ATF. All acquisition and storage and use of records are inspected by the ATF periodically, with or without notice. They go back 3 years at a minimum, and they check every day. They've been there day and night, throughout the night, tracking every acquisition and every record in their books. So it's obviously very important to keep a very good track of all material in and out of the facility, as well as the state inspecting our magazines. The ATF does as well. They have certain requirements that are met, certain manufacturers that can actually make the magazines, and we have to adhere to those. moving on, please. This is somewhat of an outline. I wanted to elaborate on the coordination of the explosives, from ordering to acquiring explosives, the distribution from the storage to the site, and then deployment, and then back to the facility for disposal. There's records on every step of that. And to elaborate, it says when not in use, explosives are not used at this facility, they're just stored. So we order them in for our daily operations, store them at the facility, track them, and then distribute them to the field as needed. All explosives will be transported to and from the property in accordance with the U.S. Department of Transportation. All of our employees, have been through certain testing with hazardous materials endorsements, state requirements on the handling and transportation of all explosives. Like I said before, the access to the explosives is limited to myself and 2 other authorized personnel, which in our case would be, there is another location manager and a shop manager. They will be the ones that have access to the magazines at the facility. Each of these employees have or will have Colorado explosive license, as well as clearance on KLX's ATF notice of clearance. That is already in effect. We all do have access by the state and federal regulations. In addition to stored explosives, the ATF standard Type 2 explosive magazine, KLX will construct a bunker or barricade around the storage magazine for additional protection and visual adherence of the magazine that's on the facility. Continue. This is the placement of our magazine. The wall has already been presented. It's 3 feet of cinder block filled with concrete and earth. It's like I said before, it's just additional protection. It's not required by the ATF, but it is an option that we want to put forward.
Will there be an earth bunker around that?
No. It's actually, and I'm sure you know that, there's, with their options of a bunker, it's either, dug earth into a natural existing hill, or, in our case, what compares to that is, a man-made structure of cinder block, concrete, and earth in that manner, 3 feet thick. On that, the bunker will encapsulate the explosive storage magazine on all 4 sides, like stated. The bunker is engineered to withstand 90 mile per hour winds. It's Type 1, Type 2 cement will be used, and the slab is actually 6 inches thick, minimum 4 inches. And the bunker will have a net compression strength of 1900 psi. KLX as a whole, the prior experience with explosives, like Troy stated before, we are an acquisition of a few other companies with multiple years of experience. KLX has maintained their license and compliance since 2014 as a whole of that acquisition. During that period, the company has never been cited for any areas of non-compliance by the ATF or on the state regulated side. Additionally, KLX has maintained state licenses in Kansas, Louisiana, Colorado, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. In addition to regulatory compliance, the company has had no incidents or accidents related to the use, transportation, or storage of explosives. I wanted to personally note, enlighten on what Troy stated before about the safety of our employees in the community. We personally employed local employees. I think it's very important. They have more sense of pride of taking care of things in the area. And along with that, I have friends that work with me, and they're just as important as anybody else. Friends that I've made in the industry, and I definitely want to keep them safe, and I don't want them to be in trouble.
What is the potency of the explosives that you'll have in there?
So, mostly it's shape charges, which are very small. It's a high order explosive. And then to initiate those, we have primer cord, and then the blasting caps initiate the primer cord. So, each individual piece is not very significant. When they're deployed, it's a series of shape charges placed in the carrier down the well. When they're deployed, the blast radius is 32 inches on average, and usually a hole size of half an inch, anywhere between 3/10 of an inch to 6/10 of an inch.
So the potency isn't so much the charge itself as it is the confined area that it's in?
Correct. Going through some of the criteria for the conditional review uses. In reviewing a conditional review use application, the planning commission and town board trustees must consider this following criteria. Compatibility with and effect on existing permitted uses in the neighborhood. Mitigation measures used to alleviate on and off-site impacts. Impact on property values, likelihood of a nuisance being created, the demands the use will place upon town services, the public safety consequences of the proposed use, traffic volume and adequacy of parking and access, whether the proposed use is in conformity with all applicable building codes and regulations and other applicable provisions of the code. The application for proposed use satisfies all the above criteria as follows. We do believe we have met all the requirements. Moving forward, compatibility with and the effect of existing permitted uses in the neighborhood. The property, as stated before, property is zoned in light industrial district. Permitted use include warehousing, distribution, oil and gas services such as yourself. The proposed use is compatible with uses in the surrounding area, like oil and gas industries. Number two, mitigation measures used to alleviate on and off-site impacts. Enclosure of the proposed use in a bunker reduces the risk to on-site and off-site persons and property. Substantial setbacks and landscape buffer included along with the perimeter fencing, no off-site impacts implicated. It should be, will not be any impacts to the local area. Impact on property values. The proposed use will have no impact on surrounding property values as it is virtually undetectable to neighboring properties. Support for oil and gas development supports employment-based economic development. The likelihood of a nuisance being created. Proposed use will not create a nuisance due to enclosure of explosives within a bunker and perimeter fence with access restricted gate. No offensive noise, dust, glare, noxious fumes, odors, smoke, vapor, vibration, or industrial waste disposal problems are implicated. Short of being a normal construction or oil and gas service company, there's nothing additional with the storage of explosives that would be used on the site. There's not trash cans full of spent material or deflagrated material, any explosives that are used, that are not used on site are brought back to the facility and stored in the same magazines that non-used, or explosives that have not been distributed. Any material that we cannot use on location is cited as what we call, what is actually referred to as non-excess. Those are then distributed back to the manufacturer or to the local bomb squad, which is usually Green. We've done that. They like to take it, so just wanted to touch up on that. The demand the use will place upon town services. Proposed use will not generate any additional traffic or road impacts. No additional utility service or town services, such as snow or refuse removal will be required. The public safety consequences of the proposed use. Access to explosives is limited to location manager and up to 2 authorized supervisors. Each employee has or will have Colorado explosive license as well as clearance on KLX's ATF notice of clearance. The U.S. Department of Transportation regulations will be followed in explosive transportation activities. Property has perimeter fencing and access restricted gate stated before. Moving on, please. Traffic volume and adequacy of parking and access. Proposed use will not generate any additional traffic or demand for additional parking. Access to site from County Road 28 is adequate. No additional points of access requested or required. Just the one on County Road 38. Conformity with all applicable building codes and regulations, other applicable provisions of the code. Proposed use complies with town code requirements. Does not request variances or waivers from any town code sections. Proposed permit conditions require compliance with all state and federal requirements for storage and handling of explosive and hazardous materials. Proper approvals from ATF and fire district will be obtained prior to explosive storage. The proposed use satisfies all applicable review criteria for conditional use. Comprehensive plan compliance. The proposed use is also consistent with Platteville's comprehensive plan and the result of citizen survey conducted in connection with adoption of the plan. KLX's operation will further the plan's theme of economic development within the town, support local employment and boost commercial services in the area, which we do believe in. We want that. We want local employees. We do want to, we want to stick around and have any out-of-towners, in the area and assist with our operation. Proposed use is also consistent with plan's key strategies of business attraction and supporting oil and gas production services. In sum, the proposed use satisfies all of the applicable review criteria consistent with the themes and goals of the town's comprehensive plan. In conclusion, KLX is an experienced provider of support for oil and gas operations with an excellent compliant and safety record. Our operations support employment and economic development in the town of Platteville. As shown in the presentation and the application material submitted by the proposed use, satisfies all the applicable review criteria, is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. We respectfully request the Planning Commission recommend approval of the proposed use, and the Town Board of Trustees approve the proposed conditional review use. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Would you briefly describe what a wireline company does?
Yes. So we have special equipment. So it's just a truck that on the back of it houses roughly 30,000 feet of conductor wire line. It's just a braided line. Think of it as a coax cable that you connect your TV to. It's just a little sturdier. We do a range of services, but what we would do here is deploy that wire line down the oil wells and use shape charges, or what we refer to as isolation tools, to either isolate the well from producing, or we open up the existing permanent structure, which is the casing and the annulus behind it has cement. So we open it up for the fluids to flow from down hole. So, and how we open it up is the shape charge, the explosive that we're asking to store.
Does that explain it for you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
The hours of operation for this bunker, is that the same as for the site as a whole?
Yes.
And what are those hours of operation?
24/7. It's not really in the facility though. Most of our operations and our personnel are on site, other than maybe 6 at most. Those hours are typically 7 to 5.
The wireline vehicles that you just described recently, how many do you have on site?
We have 7 of those.
7 of those, and they could all be out in the field at one time?
Yes,
Depending
absolutely.
on the needs?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Security. I've seen the site, part of the site plan approval. Any additional cameras at night?
Yep,
Or is
so-
there some of their 24/7?
No, so there will be. Actually, just recently got quotes on a local company providing us with 7 cameras in the facility and, in the perimeter, along with key fobs to, so we know who is actually accessing the building if it happens to be somebody looking.
I notice you have 2 indoor magazines. What will those house?
So those have, so with some of our regulations, we cannot store blasting, like an initiation device with a secondary explosive. So those would house the smaller items. By ATF regulation, we're only allowed 50 pounds of explosive weight in a facility, and that's usually, depending on any other state regulations that may be in place, it's usually up to 2 to 3 magazines in the facility, in the shop itself, and that's still a total of 50. You can't exceed that. And then
From the outdoor to the indoor, you can't exceed the 50.
From indoor, you cannot exceed 50.
Oh.
Correct. Yeah. And the outdoor is regulated by distances of roads and habited structures. We provide information.
Is that thing electrically isolated, i.e. a lightning strike?
Yeah, they're grounded, yes.
Wasn't a great while.
Does anybody else have any questions?
You said 50 pounds of explosive at one site?
Indoor, yeah.
And the 2 magazines inside?
And the 2 magazines inside, yes.
So about how much explosive will you be storing?
ATF will allow us 500 pounds on the outdoor.
Do we have any other comments?
I know, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have any comments from the audience?
I was wondering if you could describe what a magazine is exactly, or how big it is.
Sorry, could you
Oh,
come
wait a
to
minute,
the...
come up to the...
Yeah, we need to get you on the
mic.
mic.
If you would, please state your name.
My name's Scott Miney, and I was wondering if you could explain exactly what a magazine is,
Yeah, so.
the size of it, and what the skills of it.
Yeah.
How that relates to the size of the bunker.
Yes, sir. So it's 7 by 7 by 8. It's essentially a metal box constructed. I don't have exact dimensions as far as thickness go, but I can provide that. They're all manufactured by certain companies approved by the ATF. There's 5/16 locks that are placed, they're dual locks that are placed in there, They're covered to allow, they're essentially bulletproof. You cannot access it with a cutting torch or cutters or shoot the lock, and kind of how it's designed. And then they're also wood-lined inside and to prevent static electricity.
And you said there's 2 magazines inside the bunker?
There'd be, so 2 small magazines of that nature inside the facility, and the 7x7x8, that would be the one that would be outside, in the barricade itself.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say indoors, you can have, would you say 50 pounds?
50 pounds.
Indoor being your facility, the shop?
Yes.
And, well, I'm a shareholder of the FITCO Farmers Independent Dish, and we did not receive a referral. We are right next door to this. And I think it's pretty important for the ditch company to be involved with the decision-making. So we are right next door to it.
I don't,
The issues
to
with
clarify, I don't believe that was on the assessor's list of nearby property owners, is that correct?
This company has a deeded right-of-way right there. And it's
So-
next door to the property.
I think, Alice out there as attorney for the applicant, I think to clarify, I don't believe that FITCO is a referral agency, but is I guess, a party that has a property interest in the Lake property.
Right. So we will notice either way whether you have a referral interest or whether we are property owners right next door to it.
So did
That is
you,
deeded right away through there.
how did you receive notice?
I live not too far from there and I saw it on
The sign, okay,
The sign.
so posted notice.
And then I told our ditch board about it the other day, and our secretary hadn't received any type of notice. So the rest of the board did not know anything about it. And I was kind of curious, I think that should be considered before too much more is proceeded with. And then also, like I said, I live real close to it, and it looks like you're building a bunker right now,
Barricade.
the barricade. And what's the difference again between the bunker and the barricade?
The bunker will fit inside the barricade,
Okay,
so it's just additional protection.
okay, and then the magazine's fit inside.
Yeah, excuse me, it's the magazine will fit inside that barricade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So redundancy on the difference, there's no difference between, I guess what we would call the bunker and the magazine. Yes, correct.
so they're kind
They're the same, yeah, just different wording, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then
All right.
what we're building is the barricade around.
All right, that's all questions I have now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Allison, do you know if they were notified?
We didn't send a mailed notice to FITCO, they didn't show up on the list of property owners within 500 feet from the assessor's website, which is what we use to generate the list of addresses.
What would you suggest?
But FITCO does own this property, it is a property owner.
Yes,
Yes.
it's a deeded right away through that.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna suggest that we have to table this, I don't know what we can do, because if we have a property owner that did not receive notice, that was supposed to receive notice, I don't know any other, and if there's an objection that's been raised, I think it has to go to FITCO.
We would certainly assert that based on the posted notice, that there was adequate notice that was given, and my interpretation of what was required in terms of the mailed notice was for property owners that would show up as taxable parcels.
Well, it's all property owners within 500 feet, and I realize if they didn't show up on the assessor's website, that's tough, but I don't know how, I mean, we've received an official objection on the record, I don't know what else. If we proceed forward, once we receive this objection, I'm not comfortable doing
Is there
that.
any additional information that we could provide that would make you comfortable with the information that we
Well, I can't
provided?
speak for
or-
the.
See, I think that's the problem, is he can't speak
Yeah,
for
I
the
can't
entire
speak for the
board
ditch company.
of FITCO, and I think that's the problem. If FITCO had the notice, then they might have met prior to this and taken an
Right.
official
If you could
position.
send them the information they did to other property owners for a
Like us.
start,
Yes.
that would be,
Could
I
we,
mean, we don't want to, put a monkey wrench in the whole thing, but
No,
I think we.
I understand.
I do.
Sure. Could we proceed with a condition that we meet with the FIDCO board and address any concerns that they have prior to issuance of the conditional use permit?
I don't think we can, because, I mean, there's been an objection raised to notice. I don't know how we would proceed without renoticing this. And, I mean, I don't want, trust me, I don't want to do this, but I don't know how we are going to proceed if FIDCO's raised an official objection, then they have the right to have FIDCO take a position and be heard. I don't know what.
Well, I don't know if I can call this an official objection either, just because I'm the shareholder.
I hear you, I shouldn't.
But I'm
maybe
a shareholder too, so I got an objection with it.
Okay.
Yes.
I just am a little bit concerned. I mean, FIDCO is represented by council, they have the ability to take a position on this. It is closed, apparently, so I don't know what their position would be, and I don't know how we would proceed, because they may not object at all once they, have the opportunity, but I don't know what else we can do at this point, other than table, because I think we need to give them the opportunity to come here and be heard by a representative after the board has met and made a decision as to the position that they want to take. Because I assume you haven't met with the whole board on this.
No, we had a
Not
meeting
only
the other
sure.
day, and it was mentioned, but, our secretary called down to the town office here to ask, about it, and she was asking why the ditch company did not receive a notice,
Okay.
but the whole board was not. Was it a formal meeting?
Should we table this until,
I don't think we have any choice. I hate to do this, because I know that we're all here, and I know we've already had problems with the notice up to this point, but I don't know,
Well, I hate to do it too, and like I say, if you could maybe do everything you need to on the condition that the board approves it, and that way you won't have to.
would KLX then have to, they'd have to represent their case to the ditch company?
well, yeah, I mean, we started the public hearing. We can actually continue the public hearing on the condition that in the interim, notice be provided to KLX. I'm trying to be creative here. So that this
KLX
doesn't-
to the ditch company?
To the ditch company, yes, to FIDCO. And so that you wouldn't have to present this whole presentation over again. We can provide a copy of that to FIDCO and state that this is what's happened so far in the public hearing perhaps, and then, but I would need to talk, we could do that right now, is what we can do, is table the public hearing to a date certain, so that we don't lose what we've already started. I can talk to FIDCO's attorney and make sure that she's okay with this. And then you could meet with FIDCO and their attorney perhaps and go through this same presentation. And then they would have the opportunity to meet, and perhaps if they have no objection, we can just continue on from where we started without all new notices.
They'd be at the very next meeting, which is October 3rd.
October 3rd, that would be fine. So we would table this, a motion to table to a date certain, which would be October 3rd. And then we could continue where we left off. In other words, in the interim, I can call and I can give you their attorney's contact information.
I wouldn't be closing the public hearing, we'd be continuing.
Exactly. So we leave the public hearing essentially open, and then that way, in the interim, we'd have FIDCO get the notice, and then you could talk to FIDCO's attorney, and then maybe they have no objection. Maybe by the time they meet and have all this information, they won't have any objection. I can't say that right now. So that would be my suggestion, that you move to table the public hearing to October, I should say move to continue. I'm going to say move to continue the public hearing, not table, continue the public hearing to October 3rd at 6:30 p.m. And is that right, 6:30 or 6?
It'd be 6:30, because it'd be a blank commission. And as far as the town staff's view, the town board has worked closely with FIDCO over the years. We're not a member of that ditch, but they obviously run right on the edge of Platteville and through the property, so we have a lot of connections with them. So I think out of that respect, we probably should make that continuance.
So Kendra, we should probably have a motion to do that.
Yes, we need a motion to continue a second
To
as well.
continue the-
To continue to October 3rd, that's the
Right.
motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and carried. Do we have any other questions here?
Oh, well, now that we've continued it, sorry, save your questions until next time.
No, not on this one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
On anything else. Troy? Do you have anything to report? Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
You know, based upon the circumstances, I don't have any additional comment in general as far as that's concerned, but we'll have the, planning commission next meeting.
October 3rd, 6:30.
But I have something to say. You know.
Can you, I'm sorry, can you save it till next time?
No, I need to talk because I might not be here the next time. You guys have prolonged this, I live across the street, okay? I got a notice for you guys from the 15th of last month. Then all of a sudden, when the meeting was to be, you guys didn't even notify us that it was canceled. We had to find out for ourselves. Now, my question is to you guys, these guys say how safe these explosives are. I live across the street, they say the value of our property will not go down. Now, you guys all know from Platteville that everybody out on Road 38, 40, and whatever are buying 1.5 to 5 acre lots. We're building homes out there. Now, tell me, when they say it's not going to interrupt, that it won't knock the value down on my property, that somebody that wants to buy whatever, that they're not going to come up and say, wow, there's explosives across the street. Why would I pay this amount of money, and people are paying a lot of money out here nowadays, for 1.5 to 5 acres, they won't want to buy the property. So, my question is how can these guys tell me that it won't lower the value of my property? And the other is, because I am a shareholder of Farmers Independent, and please excuse me, but I've got to say, the gas and oil people don't have the best reputation of things not blowing up and people getting hurt. Say the explosive, something does happen.
I'm gonna have to advise the chairman and commission not to respond because the public hearing is closed. I don't mean.
So it's closed, so nothing I have to say is worth what I'm saying?
The way our process says, the commission, but Mr. Chairman, they voted to continue this to October 3rd at 6:30.
I mean, yeah.
So the town of Platteville doesn't care then,
Yes,
right?
we do, but we also have to respect everybody's rights as well. And we have a statute.
Okay, I knew this would happen.
Mr. Chairman, there's no business on the agenda for the commission tonight.
Well, I have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the planning commission.
Second. So
Take a 5-minute recess and get reorganized before trustees. And I'll let Mr. Mayor, we're going to have to amend the agenda.